In this video, we're going to be looking at how to slip and score, or score and slip things together. So the first thing we're going to need to do is make a pot of slip. So we can take some clay and put it into a ball. And the key here is we want to make a mixture of 75% clay and 25% water. That's the key mixture. Slip is basically like a clay glue. It's kind of a pasty milkshake consistency. So we take our ball here and we open it up into a little pinch pot, but we want to keep the walls very thick because those walls are going to end up turning into the material we use for the slip itself. I'm just tapping the pinch pot down here a little bit just to make sure it sits flat so it doesn't tip over. And we're going to go on and head over to the sink and fill it with some water. Now remember, we don't need too much water. Sorry you can't see it here, but just a couple drops of water in there. And then we're going to take our pin tool and we're going to scratch it up on the inside. We're basically turning the walls of the pot into the slip itself. So we're scratching the sides and mixing in with the water. And you really want to get a semi-liquidy, kind of pasty consistency. If it's super runny and liquid like water, then there's way too much water in there. But in this case, it looks like I'm going to need to add a little bit more water. But you can see the walls are thinning out, and they're actually becoming the slip or the clay glue. You keep mixing it up, and you can see it's a little bit on the thick side now, and I want to have a little bit more slip, so I'm going to go ahead and head back over to the sink. Now you could always get a cup of water. We have plastic cups by the sink. You're always welcome to use to put water in. Just make sure you dump them out and put them back when you're done. So I just added a few more drops of water here, and I'm continuing to stir up the piece. And notice the pin tool is rather thin. It doesn't make the best stirring tool. You're welcome to use a modeling tool or the back of another tool or even the back of your pin tool to stir this up. But I'm really trying to get a good thick consistency here. Now remember, 75% clay, 25% water. You really want to get as much clay as possible. The only job of the water is to make it spreadable. So now that we have that, we need some things to attach. So I'm going to go ahead and just take these two little pieces of clay. I'm going to roll some little coils and just make two very basic pieces that we can attach together. I'm basically making two little flattened coil slab-like structures, and I'm just going to tap one side so I create a nice surface to attach it to. So we're going to attach it just like this, just like a little, same way you would attach a wall to a base for a slab when we make boxes, same way you're going to attach coils together, pretty much the same way you're going to attach anything when you need to score and slip. So we know what slip is now, but we need to score. So we need to make those two surfaces go together. Now they could go together flat like this, but they tend to shift around a little bit, and the moisture between it tends to make them slide. They will stick, but there's a better way to do it. So rather than doing that, we want to scrape up the surface to create these thread-like little grooves, kind of like Velcro, some little fingers for spots for the slip to go down into and for it to grip onto. So how we're going to do this is go ahead and take our pin tool, and we're going to make these horizontal lines, scratching or scoring in one direction. And it doesn't have to be beautiful, it doesn't have to be pretty. Some people obsess about making perfect little X's. If you'd like to do that, that's fine, but it doesn't really matter. The goal here is just to texturalize the surface so we can have a nice little place for slip to go down into, and then the little fingers can attach to each other. So I'm going ahead and marking roughly where I want my piece to attach to. There's no point in scoring the whole bottom because then you're just going to have to go and smooth out the marks later on. So I'm just staying within the confines of where my little wall is going to be. And then I'm going to take some of my slip or my clay glue, and I'm going to put it in the area in which I want to attach. Now you see it's a little on the thick side here. I think I could have managed to use a little bit more water, but make sure you get a nice thick layer on there. Some people like to put it on both sides, but I put it on pretty thick, so I just put it on one side. And now we're going to take the two pieces and we're going to attach them together. So first you want to line it up gently, and as soon as you have it lined up, then you can apply a fair amount of pressure and just squeeze it together. And you know you're getting a good attachment because we can see a little bit of the slip is starting to kind of ooze out the sides. And that's a good thing. Now you want to make sure that it really makes a good connection and comes out the sides a little bit. If not, if you have that gap, you might have gaps between there, and that means that it might not hold. So now what I'm going to show you is in this little crack here, we're going to make another little coil. We talked about coil rolling earlier. And we're going to basically roll a little coil and use it to fill in this spot. So I'm just pushing it in along that groove. And that's going to basically help me have a nice seamless transition from the wall to the base, or whatever it is that you happen to be attaching. Now this is not always necessary, but anytime you're using a functional vessel that's going to be holding liquid, water, or any kind of substance, you really don't want a gap there. You want it to be nice and sealed. So here you can see there's still a little bit of a gap, and here it's completely seamless. So you can use your sponge to finish that, to smooth it out, and really make sure you get a good connection. So basically, you make your slip, you score the surface, you stick the two pieces together, and then you can seal in with coils if you need be. And that's the basics of slipping and scoring.